Being that we are in the middle of comfort food season, it was time for me to get up and go in that kitchen and make some pot roast, and I'm going to show y'all exactly how I do it. First thing I'm going to do is clean off my pot roast, and I'm going to use some white vinegar and a little bit of cool water, and I'm just going to go ahead and pour some of that vinegar right in there. I don't measure anything. I just go ahead and pour it so I feel like that's enough, and that looked like just about enough. Add it in some cool water. I'm going to go ahead and let that sit for about 5 minutes. After 5 minutes, I'm just going to go ahead and rinse it off until the water runs clear. Once the water runs clear, it's time for me to go ahead and season it. And for seasoning, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of grapeseed oil on there. And then I'm going to go in with some all-purpose seasoning. I did use some Kinder's steak seasoning as well because they're both beef, so I figured that would go good together. I went on ahead and added in some garlic Harlem pepper. If you haven't tried it, I highly recommend it. 10 out of 10. I definitely recommend. I did add in some Italian seasoning as well because I didn't have any fresh herbs on hand, so the dried herbs are just going to go ahead and take the place of the fresh herbs. I had to go ahead and add in some of that Tony seasoning, of course. And in addition to that Tony seasoning, we're going to go ahead and put some paprika on there as well. I love paprika for the flavor and also the color that it gives as well. In addition to the paprika, we are going to go ahead and add some onion powder as well. And then we're going to go ahead and add in some parsley for a little bit of razzle dazzle. And I did include the list of seasonings that I used in the beginning of the video. You can go ahead and take a screenshot of that if you want to know all the seasonings that I use. Now, I do recommend when you're doing a pot roast to let this marinate overnight. If you cannot or you do not have time to let it marinate overnight, I do recommend at least 2 hours. Now, pot roast is not something that you can go ahead and cook in 30 minutes. It is not a quick meal. This is low and slow and all day. When you're making a pot roast, it's definitely going to take you some time. It's going to take a couple of hours out of your day. So it's something I suggest that you do when you have time, not when you have to get dinner on the table in about 30 minutes. So after I got all my seasonings on there, I did go ahead and mix everything up, make sure I got all those seasonings incorporated. I wanted to make sure the top, the bottom, the sides, every piece of pot roast I had seasoning on it. I am going to go ahead and stick this in the fridge for about 2 hours. And then once I get it in the fridge for about 2 hours, I am going to come back and then we're going to go ahead and start cooking our pot roast. So after 2 hours has passed, went on ahead and took my pot roast out of the fridge, and this is exactly what it looked like after I was done with it with all my seasonings and everything was blended in together. Now, before we put it in the oven, I am going to go ahead and sear it. So I'm going to go ahead and get me a nonstick pan. I'm going to put a little bit of olive oil in the pan, and then we're going to go ahead and put the pot roast in there once the olive oil gets hot. We're going to give it a good 2 to 3 minutes, sear it on that side. Then I'm going to go ahead and flip it over, and I'm going to give it another good 2 to 3 minutes and sear it on the other side as well. Once I get a good sear on both sides of my pot roast, now it's time for us to go ahead and put it in the oven. But first, you want to make sure that you're going to go ahead and preheat your oven. So you're going to put it on 400 degrees so you can let your oven start coming up to temperature. Now, while we're waiting for our oven to come up to temperature, I am going to go ahead and start working on some of the veggies that I'm going to add inside of my pot roast. The first one I'm going to use is going to be some red onion, just because I've had it in my fridge and I'm going to go ahead and use it before it goes bad. I'm going to go ahead and slice up some red onions. So I went on ahead and took the top off. Once I get the top part off, I'm going to go ahead and just slice it right down the middle, and then I'm going to go ahead and give it another slice into 3 pieces, just like that. Once I get it in 3 pieces, I am going to go ahead and cut it right down the middle, and then we're just going to start chopping it up just like that. Now, this is the way I like to cut an onion. To me, it's quick and it's easy. After I get my onion sliced up, I am going to go ahead and start washing and peeling my potatoes. So I'm going to go ahead and get a nice good wash on it, and then I'm going to go ahead and peel it. I don't know why I wash and peel my potatoes. You would think because I'm peeling it, it doesn't need to wash, but it's just a habit that I do. Y'all let me know in the comment section, does anybody wash and peel their potatoes when cooking a dish that requires potatoes? Now, you do not have to peel your potatoes. You can use it with the skin on. I just prefer to go ahead and peel mine. Once I have my potatoes washed and peeled, I am going to go ahead and cut it right down the middle. Now, I was contemplating on how I wanted to cut these, but I decided that I was just going to go ahead and cut them into chunks just like that, because I do want to make sure that my pot roast and my veggies are cooking at the same time. I don't want my potatoes to overcook and it turns into mashed potatoes. So I did decide that I'm just going to go ahead and chunk it up. Once I got my potatoes chunked up, I am going to go ahead and add in some carrots as well. So I did the same routine. I went on ahead and washed, and then I went on ahead and peeled my carrots. And now I'm just going to go ahead and slice those up into big chunks as well. Now, if you like celery or any other kind of vegetables, you can go ahead and add those into your pot roast. That's not something that I like. So I went on ahead and I made sure I left that out. After my pot roast has that nice good sear on it, I am going to go ahead and put it in a pan. You can put it in a baking dish, whatever you like. I like to use a pan because after everything is done, we can just go ahead and put it in the garbage. It makes cleanup quick and easy after you're done cooking. So I am going to go ahead and start adding my veggies. I went in with my onions first. After I got all those onions in there, I went on ahead and started adding in my potatoes. After I got my potatoes in there, it was time to go ahead and start adding in my carrots as well. Once I get all my veggies in there, I am going to go ahead and add in some water. If you do have broth, you can go ahead and use broth. I didn't have any broth at the time, so I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of water because we're using just what we have on hand. Right now, it is about 3 degrees outside, and I was not going to the store just to pick up some beef broth. So normally, if I don't have beef broth, I'm just going to go ahead and add in some water from my liquid. Once I get my water in there, I am going to go ahead and put the foil on top of this. And for this size pot roast, it honestly took me about 4 hours before it was done to my liking, till it was tender the way I wanted it to be. It was about, now this is how the pot roast came back, and by the time I came back to make my video to show y'all how nice and tender this pot roast is, I was just able to pull it apart with my tongs. The meat was falling apart. That man and them kids had already went on ahead and made their plates. So most of the pot roast was already gone before I could finish this video. Now, I did go ahead and make some rice, and we had some of them Texas Roadhouse honey biscuits on the side. Now, one thing about them Texas Roadhouse cinnamon honey biscuits, them things is so good. I don't know why y'all didn't tell me how good they are, but they was absolutely delicious. Once the plate was made, I did go ahead and add me just a little bit of parsley right on top, just for a little bit of razzle dazzle. And after that, dinner was served. And when I tell you, pot roast is the ultimate comfort food, definitely put this on your top 5 when you are in the mood for some comfort food. This is everything after everything was plated. Absolutely delicious, beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. And I will definitely see you guys in my next video. Bye, besties.